just take 1 second to make sure this is all up and running. It appears to be going. Hey, what's up, Dan? How are you guys doing? Good to see you guys. All right, let's get this going right away. So we're gonna do something a little different today. Something about myself that a lot of people probably don't know, a lot of you guys don't know, is that I've been speedrunning since late 2013, and I've never really talked about that. And so today I want to talk about the speedrun that I know the most about out of any speedrun, which is Ganonless. It's kind of a weird category. This used to be the any percent run, and basically how it's defined, it's kind of nice because it's one of the few speedrun categories where the name actually describes what it is. Essentially, it is beating the game without defeating Ganon. And people are going to debate, obviously, that's not really beating the game. How do you even beat the game without defeating Ganon? That doesn't make any sense. How the any percent run evolved, that is just like the standard Ocarina of Time, or that's just the standard speedrun in general. If you ever see any percent, that just means beat the game as fast as possible. The way that evolved, for a long time, it got more and more optimized, but people would always get light arrows to defeat Ganondorf. So you'd beat the Shadow in the Spirit Temple, you'd go get the bow and light arrows, and then you go beat the game. And so it was very easy to define the game. It was very easy to define what beating the game was. You could just say, get to the credits, that's beating the game. And it was a very simple, very clean way that you could define how you beat the game, and it made sense. As time went on, eventually people figured out that you can wrong warp all over the game. You can wrong warp to all these different places that you're not supposed to be. And this includes several places where you can warp, from the early game straight into the credits. And so this became the fastest way to beat the game. And this was the any percent run for a little bit until Rob Dog and Sockfolder realized that you can wrong warp directly from the Deku Tree to the collapse sequence. And that's the new any percent run, is you just go through the Deku Tree and then go straight to the end of the game, and you beat it that way. And you defeat Ganon, so it kind of ties up all those loose ends. But people still run this category, and it's a really cool category that not enough people know about. I set 9 individual world records in this category, so I know it pretty well. I've really out of all the speedruns that I've done, this is the one. I put in over 1,000 runs and really sat down and grinded it out and got a halfway decent run. What I'm going to be playing on stream as I explain everything is my highest achievement, my personal best and world record at the time. Oh, and I didn't start the timer. God damn it. I bet people in chat have been screaming at me. Well, who's gonna know? Everyone will think I got the craziest record ever. Oh well. Whoops. We're not restarting. Okay. I see you guys in chat. I'll talk to you guys in a second, but I'm trying to stay on topic for 1 second. Okay, so when I got into this category, the record was 37:32 by ZFG, and he had optimized this a little bit. It wasn't like an amazing run, but he had put some time into it. And then this new trick just was discovered called blank A, which allows you to get bomb chews, and it was found that you can do this speed run with bomb chews much quicker. So he did one run with the new route. He beat his record by a second, got a 37:31. And yeah, it was just, he literally threw one run out there. He's obviously a great player, ZFG, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Ocarina of Time player. But he had just done this one Ganonless run just kind of for fun to get a new record with the new route. And so it was the perfect difficulty for me because it had this amazing name tied to it, this legacy ZFG, but it also wasn't that great of a time. And so it was the perfect goal for me to go for. And so that's what I went for. And in October of 2014, I ended up getting the Ganonless record. I then set 8 individual records over the following like 4 months or so, until Ragan took the record from me. He set a few records, and then I came back and set this final time before Ragan took it. Now Zudu holds the record, who are both amazing players. Zudu and Ragan both, but especially Zudu. I feel like if he like really put everything he has into speedrunning, he could be insane. But he's one of those guys, he's just good at a bunch of things. He's got a bunch of things going on. Yeah, so I got this 3420. Let me... Yeah. I can talk a little bit about the bottleneck of this run, the whole point of this run. There's a cool little forest escape. You jump slash in that corner and you can get out of the forest early. What I'm doing right now is I'm gonna go get a bottle. I'm gonna get bomb chews, and then I'm going straight to adult, and then that's when the run really gets nuts. But even as a child, there's some pretty cool stuff. So yeah, I'm just making my way down to Kakariko right now. The whole point of this run is the wrong warp, right? And the wrong warp is from the fire temple into like halfway into the credits. In order to do this, you need a couple of things. You need to beat Fire Temple, first of all. You need a bottle with bugs, and you need the eyeball frog timer. There's many ways to wrong warp in this game, but the kind of general way is you load an area at the same time you load, like if you beat a game and you touch a blue portal, here's a cool little Wes. If you touch a portal and load, man, there's so many things to explain. Okay, so if you touch a blue portal, what it does is it loads an area and a cutscene value, right? So if you go touch the blue portal inside the Deku Tree, it's going to load the forest outside the Deku Tree, and it's going to load a cutscene value that's linked to the forest, and it plays that cutscene where like the Kokiri Emerald comes down and gives you the Kokiri Emerald. And that's kind of how cutscenes, like which cutscene to play is determined by the game, is by the portal that you just went into. If you touch one of these portals and then you go load another area, you can mix the game up so it adds the cutscene value to the wrong area, and it'll warp you somewhere totally weird. And so if you do that in the Deku Tree basement and you open that door to load the basement on the same frame you load you load the cutscene where you beat the Deku Tree, then it warps you into the collapse sequence. Similarly, if we get the eyeball frog, which has a timer attached to it, when the timer runs out, it warps you back to King Zora, right? So when that timer runs out, it warps you back to King Zora, and so if we beat Fire Temple at the same time that timer runs out, it'll warp us into the credits. And so that's what this whole run is. That's what the whole run is getting to that point where you can backflip into the portal with the eyeball frog timer and warp into the credits. So right now, I've pretty much finished collecting the bottle. I'm gonna do a Navi dive after I get all the cuccos. There's an interesting trick you can do where you jump slash. You can see Navi's text up above right now, and I'm saving that. I mean, not that it's normally very useful, but in a speedrun it is useful, because if you talk to something and you're in water, you'll fall through the water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump slash into the water, right, that well right in front of me right now. I'm going to jump slash in there. I'm going to press C up to bring up the Navi text, and I'm going to fall through the water. You can get down to the bottom of the well early. And this is the first big trick I was talking about, blank A. This is where it kind of diverges from the old route, which is where you'd get the bombs. So here we're going to do the Navi dive to fall all the way to the bottom of the well. Okay, there's the Navi text. Now, when I'm in here, I'm going to crawl through here. Then I'm going to turn around. I'm going to pull out the stick. I'm going to enter the crawl space on the same frame I pressed the Deku nut. So I'm going to do that right here. Okay, now the game thinks I'm in the crawl space, so that's how I can backflip in the midair right there. That's how I can just side hop past the Skullchilla without taking damage or without getting hit. And that's how I can clip out of bounds. I'm in this weird state that they call blank A. Now I'm lining at this angle, and I'm going to swim backwards. I'm going to clip back in bounds, And I'm going to swim inbounds and pick up the bomb shoes. Okay, so now we have 10 bomb shoes. We can save warp, and now we're going adult. That's it. That's all we're doing as child. You get bomb shoes, bottle, and then we'll get bugs in our bottle. And then we go straight to adult. Normally when you play this game, you have to beat the child dungeons, right? Before you can go adult. You have to beat the 3 child dungeons. But the door of time has this little sliver of space on the left side, and if you set up your angle right and do a backward side hop, you can side hop through this little sliver of space, and you can skip all the child dungeons. So that's what we're gonna go do right now. And the last thing I'm doing is getting these bugs under this rock. That's gonna be used for a few different tricks. Oh man, I have to start explaining bottle on B. Ocarina of Time speedrunners, there's this really like fundamental trick called RBA, although I don't really like that name. I like calling it bottle on B. RBA stands for bottle adventure, or reverse bottle adventure. But how it works is you get a bottle on your B button, and then that bottle, or whatever it is on your B button, that item has a value, and it is written into your inventory in the wrong place, depending on what's on your C right button. And so you'll see that when I go adult. Right now I still need a couple rupees for the shield, which is why I'm going up that chain. So now I've got 80 rupees. Didn't quite make it to castle before night, which would have been a little bit better because the shop would have just been open. But if you make it to castle at night, because I was like half a second too slow, you can, if you see here, I'm going to climb up on this box. I'm going to do a little side roll, and you can just jump straight over the door and get into the shop. So I'm going to buy that shield. Okay, now I'm going adult. That's really the last thing. You can get one of those shields in the bottom of the well, but that's just a little bit faster to buy it there. So now we're going to go do Door of Time skip. So here's what I was talking about with a little gap on the left side. You can actually just side hop out, but then you can't make it back in, which is why we do this weird setup where we come up with this really precise angle and then do a backward side hop. So watch right here. I do a side roll, backward side hop to get out of bounds, then retarget and hold left, and you make it right past the door. So just like that, you can skip the first 3 child dungeons just like that. I did pull up a clip of the wrong warp because this cutscene's kind of long, so you guys can actually see what's going on here. So the way this whole wrong warp works, this is the climax of the run. This is what everything is coming down to. And the way this whole thing works is you see the heat timer counting down right now. Yeah, the heat timer is counting down. When that runs out, oh, it didn't restart. Interesting. Hopefully I can restart the clip. When the heat timer runs out, I've got it linked to the eyeball frog, so that the eyeball frog runs out at the same time. I hope that lets me restart it. So that the eyeball frog timer runs out after the heat timer runs out, which sends you back to Zora's domain. And then it loads the fire scene cutscene for Zora's domain, which is not supposed to happen, which loads the credits. That's how it works. Does that make sense to anyone? Let's see if I can play it again. Oh, don't give me that crap. Here, I can fix this. Okay. So I'm catching the bugs in my bottle. Then you retarget. You want to line up the position just right. I'm watching how the bottle lines up with the texture on the ground to make sure I'm in the right position. Then with 6.5 seconds left, I backflip, hit the ground on the same frame I hit the portal. So then that way when I'm in the air and I hit Ocarina items, I can play my sword as... No, I can't restart that. We have to play it. Alright, whatever. You play your sword as an ocarina. You cancel the ocarina. The heat timer runs out. The eyeball frog timer runs out, and you wrong warp. That's how it works. Does that make sense to anyone? Hopefully. So anyways, now I have to just wait out the rest of this cutscene. This is kind of the, I guess the most boring part of the run is this cutscene right here. But it's like a nice break when you're doing the run, because you get to you get through the child section, then you got to get your mind right, because this is where the fun really begins. And so once I get out of this cutscene, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go collect a Poe. The reason for this is when the Poe is in a bottle on your C right button, and you do this glitch, reverse bottle adventure, it writes the value of the item which is on your B button into your inventory, and that the location it writes that value is dependent on what's on your C right button. And so by putting the Poe on the C right button and then catching bugs in my bottle on the B button, it's going to write the value 29, which is the value of bugs in a bottle, 29. It's going to write that value onto our bomb chew count, and it's going to give us 29 bomb chews. It's pretty crazy, but it's the fastest way in this speedrun that we can get a bunch of explosives. You could go get the bomb bag and then farm bombs, but this is just so much faster, because just instantly, right from the beginning, we've got 29 explosives, and we don't have to worry about that for the rest of the run. You need explosives for, well, there's several things. You need them for getting through like different passages and getting the Goron tunic, and I guess you don't need them for Volvagia, but they speed up Volvagia. They speed up a lot of different things, but they're also required. Anyways, finally, this is just about done. How's everyone in chat, dude? Thanks for the $10 super chat. Let me read that. Sorry I didn't see that earlier. Oh, there's no comment. Well, thank you, Tainted. I really appreciate it, dude. Yeah. Why am I bald? I'm bald because I went bald. Got bad genetics. I think partly due to nutrition too. I didn't eat very well as a kid. I don't know. I didn't get enough sunlight. I didn't get enough biotin. Also, I just have bad genetics. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of things. Although now that it's gone, though, it's better than ever, because when my hair looked fine when I was a kid, I guess, because I just had hair. But then it started going when I was like 14. I took damage there on purpose. It started thinning when I was 14, like it started receding. And so by the time I was, 18, 19, my hairline looked ridiculous for an 18-year-old. So once the whole thing started thinning and I shaved it, I realized like that looks better actually. I should have done that before. Okay, so what I'm doing now, there's a Poe that spawns right underneath this little archway here. Okay. So watch, I'm going to jump slash into this Poe, I'm going to kill it. Now while he's dying, I'm going to put a bottle on my B button, which is done by pulling out the bottle, jumping into the water, pulling out my sword right before I fall into the water. Now I still have the bottle, but the game thinks I have my sword out, so when I swipe the bottle and pick up those bugs again, they put it on my B button. Now I pick up the Poe, that's on my C right button, now I'm out. So now when I drop the bugs, the value of a bottle without bugs is 20. So when I drop the bugs, that'll give me 20 bomb chews. When I pick up the bugs, the value of a bottle with bugs is 29. Check out that Hess, by the way. I don't know if I invented that. I came up with it independently, and I was the first one to start doing that in Ganonless runs. I was also the one who came up with this Cuckoo Lady Hess. Check this out, dude. This is my own creation. No one did. Before, people would pull out a chew after this, and they do a backwalk Hess to get out of this area. But I came up with this idea where you target this wall, and then you Hess off the Cuckoo Lady, and then angle change. This run's really cool because there's a lot of Hessing, there's a lot of angle changing. It's very fast paced. It's very hard. There's a lot of, it's got it all. It's got wrong warps. It's got RBA. It's got everything. So here's another Hess. And if you don't know how Hess is done, it's basically you take damage, or here you like shield damage from that explosion off the sign, which recoils you backwards. You lock your camera with Z, hold your control stick slightly to the side, and it'll it'll make Link slide backwards like that. That was a really clean Hess, actually. And so because we have so many explosives, we can do that like everywhere we have a chance to do it. So here we need to get the Goron tunic. And so I throw a bomb chew and then a Deku Nut to make it explode. And now I keep throwing them to take damage. There's a faster way to do this, or to get the Bolero of Fire. Now, where you don't have to take damage, but at the time, the fastest way we knew about was to die at the same time you enter this cutscene. So that's why I've damaged myself down to half a heart. I'm going to get this Goron tunic. And then I'm going to go enter the Bolero of Fire cutscene. When you enter one of the song cutscenes in this game, you get the song immediately. As soon as you enter the cutscene, the song is in your inventory. But then you have to watch the whole cutscene where Sheik teaches it to you, and then you can finally leave. But anyways, if you die at the same time you enter one of these cutscenes, you'll respawn just as you would when you die, which is very fast, but you'll have the song still in your inventory. And so that's what this whole setup is. I'm getting down to half a heart. I'm going to backflip into the Bolero cutscene and die and get the song. There's a trick you can do here. I think I messed it up once. Oh yeah, watch my bomb chew count right now. See, it just went to 20 because of the empty bottle. Now I've got the bottle with bugs. It just went up to 29. Now I don't need the Poe on my C right button anymore, so I can just forget about that. I'm going to use the pocket egg to unfreeze King Zora. So that's why I got it. Now watch. See how that thing pulled automatically? If you let go of the statue, on the first frame it starts moving as you pull it. You can let go of the statue, but it'll just keep pulling automatically, which is what I did. Okay, so now we pull out a bomb chew. We do a mega side hop. I've got to wait for this to explode. Okay, now I've side hopped across the bridge. You need the hook shot for that normally. And now I backflip and take damage as I enter the cutscene. That's why that camera kind of zooms out in that weird way. Alright, and there we are, back out of there. And now we have the Bolero of Fire. Okay, I messed that up once. There are some mistakes in this. This could have been better. But, I don't know, every speedrun could be better. Alright, here's another S up the staircase. This is kind of cool. If you just pull out a bomb chew and drop it, you can just keep hessing and blow up the rocks that just fly through them. Okay, here's another forest escape. This time as an adult. You can't do it the same way as an adult because your hitbox is too big. But you can grab onto this corner. You can pull out the sword and just jump slash through. And the loading zone comes all the way up. You don't have to actually dive. Here's another mega side hop. This one's easy because you just target this angle coming out of the water. Okay, we just wait for that to explode. That lets us through the waterfall, so we don't need Zelda's Lullaby. Lots of skips in this run. Here's another Hess. This was actually Sunfloro's idea. Shout out to Sunfloro. He was the one who gave me the, told me to start doing it. But basically, yeah, stab the sign and then Hess off the signpost. And then pull. Now watch, see how I pull out the pocket egg? It seems kind of weird. If you load King Zora with the pocket egg like that, or any cutscene item, you could do it. You could like drop the bugs and you do it that way. But if you turn the camera around with a cutscene like that, and then go unload King Zora and reload King Zora, he'll no longer be frozen. Now I just held R during that little discussion that we had with King Zora, and if you hold R, instead of him giving you the Zora tunic, he gives you the eyeball frog, which is crucial. That's the whole reason we play this on N64, by the way. This is run on the 1.0 version, which is pretty cool because the 100% run is run on 1.0. The reason for that is that glitch right there with the eyeball frog. That was patched in later versions. So the Wii Virtual Console is faster. It runs the game faster, but it doesn't have that glitch. And so you can do again on this run on Wii Virtual Console, but it is much slower. It's like 8 or 10 minutes slower. Okay, so now we've got to deal with this heat timer that's going on right now. You see how I have that counting down? So I clip out of bounds. I'm going to equip the tunic right here. the Goron tunic, and I'm gonna void out. See how I got that text on the screen? That's the eyeball frog text. So it started the cutscene where I went to go back to speak to King Zora, but then I voided out. So now the timer's stuck at 0. I'm gonna play Bolero of Fire again. There it is. Play the sword as an ocarina. Play Bolero again. It's gonna reload the area, and now I'm gonna have 1 second stuck on my timer. That allows me, that's going to stay consistent throughout the whole run. So I can keep the Goron tunic on at this point, and the timer will be frozen at 1 second. I don't have to worry about that at all. So I don't have to worry about the eyeball frog timer running out. And I can just switch the tunics when I'm ready to do the wrong warp. Okay, here's another glitch right here where we have to invert the camera. This is important to skip the Darunia cutscene. So I grab the bugs here. I'm going to face to Link's left. And I'm going to invert the camera. Now, see how it's like the camera is inverted? I'm making my way up the stairs. And now because Link is facing this way, he's facing us instead of, or the camera is facing Link's face instead of his back. It doesn't start this cutscene that normally goes off when you enter this room. Darunia, he's on the right side right now. He's just standing there waiting for Link to look at him. Normally when you walk in the room, you look at him immediately. The cutscene starts. He talks to you for a few minutes. But by doing that little inverted camera trick, we keep the camera pointed away from him, and now he hasn't even loaded. And we can get the key in that room and leave, and we don't even have to interact with him. And so this is the run right here. This is like this is the climax. This is where it all comes together, is in Fire Temple. I like this run a lot because it's kind of different, but it's still really short. It's really optimized. You know, it's only just over 30 minutes, which is unusual for an Ocarina of Time speedrun. Usually you either see any percent, which is 17 minutes or a little longer, or you see a speedrun that takes hours and hours. And so I like the optimized speedruns. That's definitely my style. Just in terms of viewing and playing, I find the short speedruns to be more fun. Maybe it's good I'm not reading the comments. Hey, Lone Shark Joe, how you doing, dude? Good to see you. Okay, so we got to get another key in here. A big thing to pay attention to throughout this dungeon is my health. I need at least 6 seconds on the heat timer to do the wrong warp, which is a heart and a half. And I take a heart of fall damage near the end. Things are a little different now. You can do a different boss key skip, but the strats I was using at the time, you need 6 seconds on the timer. And I needed to take a heart of fall damage, basically to make that work. The way we're gonna activate the eyeball frog timer is we're gonna switch tunics back to the Kokiri tunic, which will reactivate the heat timer, which is frozen right now. Or maybe that's the eyeball frog timer actually. So we reactivate the heat timer by switching tunics, and when the heat timer runs out, that reactivates the eyeball frog timer. That runs out, and that's how the whole wrong warp is able to be executed. So here you need a strength upgrade to push this block. There's a lot of stuff we can't do in this dungeon because we just came here right from the beginning, so we're obviously not ready. So we hit that crystal because the bomb chew will hit it and then make that cutscene go off, and we need to be able to clip through like that and fall through. So you can just skip that whole area. You kind of like clip through, come from the other side, open up that chest, and then we can just keep going. I do think there is a faster way to route this. The way, and this is still how it's run, people go all the way through, they go through the whole run, and they go through the whole Fire Temple to get the hammer. I would have to think there's got to be a faster way to get the hammer, or to get hammer damage, you know, somehow there's got to be some way to do it faster. But the fastest way we know to do this is by actually going and getting the hammer, because you need the hammer to do the last hit of damage on Volvagia, which is the boss for this dungeon. And there's just no getting around that. You can crouch stab, you can like power crouch stab, but you need to store the hammer. You need to jump slash with the hammer at some point. It's just you can't get around it. Okay, so here's a Hess. This is the biggest mistake in the run. This is sad. I missed that Hess because the lag in that room is really annoying. There's so many artifacts in this room here that the Hess timing is not the same, and you got to be a little bit slower. Okay, so I backflip here. Now I have damage, invulnerability, so I can just backflip again. Not a very good barrier. Collecting another heart. See how I have 2 3/4 hearts? 2 3/4 hearts. So when I take 1 heart of damage, that's going to put me at a really good amount. Each quarter of a heart is 2 seconds, correct? So what is that? So a heart and 3/4, I don't know, 14 seconds or something. Something around that. To finish off these flare dancers, these things are pretty easy. One thing, notice how I'm crouch stabbing? This is kind of cool. They never set a value, they never set a power value for crouch stabbing. All these different attacks have different power values. Like the Kokiri sword, if you slash the Kokiri sword, that'll do 1 damage. You jump slash with the Kokiri sword, that's 2. If you jump slash with the Master Sword, that's 4 damage. So you have all these different power values for different items. But they didn't set one for the crouch stab. The crouch stab instead just repeats the value from the previous attack. So if you, and they're really fast to do a crouch stab too. So if you jump slash, that's 4 damage with your Master Sword. Now you can go crouch stab all you want, and each crouch stab does full jump slash damage. And so that's why you see speedrunners crouch stab so much, because it's a really fast way to do tons of damage. So now I got to make my way up this mess, and there's the hammer. And that's all we need. We have everything we need to beat the game at this point, to warp into the credits. If the chest had opened on the other side, it would have made this setup a little bit simpler, but whatever. I just turn my angle there. Now I jump slash, recoil off the wall. And now we do a setup here. We get in this corner. And on this frame, I pause and equip the hammer. I kind of screwed that up. And now I target, and I target the wall. I targeted the wall on the same frame I grabbed the ledge, and it put me through, like on the other side of the ledge. I let go of the ledge, fell all the way through the fire temple, hit the boss key, or hit the boss door loading zone. And so I was able to skip the boss key and immediately just fall from the top of the fire temple all the way into the boss room. And so this is where the wrong warp happens. I first got to fight Volvagia, which is a pain. But you see how she comes out of the hole, she flies around, and she comes down in the hole right in front of Link. The last hole she goes in, there's kind of like there's 2 models of this boss. There's one that flies around in the air, and there's one that's underground. So the last hole she flies under is the one that her underground hitbox stays under, while the other one flies around. So I can use explosives right there to do damage to her while she's underground, even though there's that other one that's like above ground that's blowing fire at me right now, and it's gonna fly up in the air. I can use the bomb shoes, and I can crouch stab the bomb shoes with my sword to do damage, which is how, just like that, 1 cycle. So never mind, Volvagia doesn't even fly up in the air. You just kill her just like that. And so that saves a lot of time. Dude, I'm getting nervous just watching this, man. It stresses me out. Oh man. So with this wrong warp, it puts you in the exact right spot to backflip into the portal. It's a very precise position. It's funny, right there. You just have to turn down, and you're in the exact right position to backflip into the portal. It's kind of funny how this game works out sometimes. Unfortunately, though, you can't just pick the bugs up again, so you have to walk forward or side hop or do something to get the bugs. And so, yeah, you pick up the bugs. Now I'm lining up the backflip, so I'll hit hit the portal on the same frame I hit the ground, play my sword as an ocarina at 6.5 seconds. I cancel the ocarina right there. I let the heat timer run out, which is it's gonna kill Link, which is gonna run out the eyeball frog timer, which is gonna warp him back to Zora's domain. At the same time, I beat the fire temple, and there it is. That's how you beat Ocarina of Time in 34 minutes and 20 seconds. Timer is off, but that was the official time. Anyways, yeah, you guys have any questions? I can talk to you guys now. I just want to get through that and be able to yeah, get through that. But that's how you beat the game. That's it. I'll be back next week with a proper N64 triathlon. I made a totally stupid decision, and I sent my N64 off with my family when they were going out of town without even thinking that I was gonna need to use that to stream. And so, yeah, I've just been grinding Ocarina of Time and stuff. But anyways, any suggestions for someone trying to get into Zelda speedrunning? Just pick a game. Yeah, just pick a game. I mean, just pick. A lot of people will tell you that you're supposed to pick a speedrun based off what game you enjoy playing. Like, you're supposed to find a game that you just enjoy playing lots, and then that's a good game to speedrun. And that's probably true, but I've never speedrun a game like that. I personally look at games, when I look at games casually and look at them for speedrunning, I'm not looking at them in the same way. Like, Ocarina of Time is a great game, but looking at it from a technical standpoint, it's amazing for speedrunning because of how crisp the movement is and all these different glitches, all these different options and route options. It's so crazy that I find it so much more appealing as a competitive game. And so personally, I think you should just watch some speedruns and see whatever impresses you the most, whatever you can see yourself playing over and over, that you should go for. I mean, it's not easy. Ultimately, in the end, you will have to buckle down and just grind it out. But the key is finding a game where you can actually be happy doing that. Oh, I was trying to stop the timer at the right time. Why is it not stopping? I need to work out the timer settings, dude. Alright, good enough. Man. Whoa, dude, I put Xfozzle's comment on stream. I didn't know that. That's awesome, dude. Alright, that's it. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. Sorry for the short stream this week. I'll be back next week with the proper run. Alright, I'm heading out. See you guys.